Okay, Chapter 8, Safety and Risk Management. This is going to be a fairly short chapter, but again, just like every other chapter, uh, fairly important chapter. And really, there's a lot of material in the book that is very interesting reading, and I think as a fire officer, you should probably read all the chapter information that's in there. So, firefighter life safety starts with you. So, you as an individual are basically in charge of your safety, and then you as a fire officer, you're not only in charge of your safety, but the safety of the crew that you're leading. So when we talk about safety and risk management, and we talk about firefighter safety, there's some topics that we're going to touch on today. So one is cardiac health, cancer risks, motor vehicle accidents, fire suppression operations, and suicide. Now, I didn't put a slide in for suicide. There's some good information in the book. Um, my opinion only. I think the jury's still out on suicides in the fire service. Again, I think there's a lot more outside influence when we start talking about suicides in the fire service. But again, as a fire officer, I think you need to look at the warning signs um, that are out there. There's a list of warning signs. So um, if you see something happening with one of your members, a red flag should go up, and then maybe you can start to take some kind of action. So we're going to talk about cardiac health real quick. So again, majority of firefighter deaths on the fire ground are due to some type of cardiac event. Um, and the way we can address cardiac health should be through annual physicals, right? Good nutrition. I know that most of us probably don't eat the healthiest, and if we're working in a firehouse, a lot of times the meals aren't the healthiest. So nutrition is probably one of the biggest factors in cardiac health, as far as losing weight, um, maintaining healthy blood pressure, things like that. So good nutrition. Physical fitness. Again, we need to have physical fitness programs as part of our routine in the fire service, and we need to reduce stress. Um, Again, we're in a business where we're going from being dead asleep to wide awake, you know, in a matter of seconds. So all this is not good on the body itself. That adrenaline response causes damage. So just be aware of that. And smoking. Stop smoking. Um, a lot of guys in the fire service smoke. Uh, if you can try to get off the cigarettes, that's great. We also have to look at programs out there that could help us out. So, at least in New Jersey, there's a Captain Buscio program, and that's free to all firefighters. So you can look into it. Um, you'll get a extremely comprehensive cardiac physical, and there's been a lot of firefighters who have gone through this program, and they've discovered very serious, life-threatening issues that they were able to get in front of and take care of before they had a cardiac event. So, very good program from Captain Buscio and his wife. Captain Buscio was a Jersey City firefighter. By all accounts, he was a very healthy looking individual, um, really into physical fitness, and he died of a cardiac event. So his wife started the Captain Buscio program, and it's free to all firefighters, and I believe maybe even their spouses. So take advantage of that. Next is going to be cancer risks, and again, just like cardiac risks, annual physicals, good nutrition, physical fitness, stress, stop smoking. All this deals with cancer. Our body's response, um, it's all individual, and the the better diet that you have, the more physical fitness that you do, stop smoking, um, puts you at a better chance of either not developing cancer or at least having a better chance of surviving it if you do get it. And we like to talk about our firefighting gear. So there's been a lot of information out there about our PPE and cancer. One thing I did find out was firefighting hoods. Um, One of the predominant cancers in firefighters is thyroid cancer, and from what I found out is the hood soaks in a lot of the contaminants from the fire, and that hood is being worn around your neck, and when you start to sweat, a lot of those contaminants get absorbed into the skin right at the neck. So we talk about in hazmat, one of the ways we can transfer hazmat material into our body is through absorption. Well, that's one way. It's being absorbed right from your hood right into your neck by your thyroid when you start to sweat. Now, our other PPE, our other turnout gear has, more protective layers, different barriers, so the chances of permeation of materials into our body through our turnout gear is much less than it is when we're wearing a firefighting hood. So that said, it's very important that if you've been in a fire and your hood is contaminated, it needs to be washed, right? And then put back in service, and have a spare hood, a clean hood to replace it while you wash the other hood. So that's one of the big things that I found out with the firefighting hoods. The other is diesel exhaust. Now, diesel exhaust is a known carcinogen, and how many of our firefighters do not have the adequate ventilation systems in place for our diesel apparatus? I know my firehouse has no ventilation system for the fire apparatus, and all our turnout gear is hanging in the rack exposed to all that diesel exhaust day in and day out. So I'm not going to get into it, but diesel exhaust is another cancer issue, and anyone who has been looking into or is working in a new firehouse, um, the trend right now is to take all the turnout gear, put it into a separate room, so your turnout gear is not exposed to the diesel exhaust out on the engine room floor, along with proper ventilation systems for the diesel engines and the diesel exhaust. But again, all this stuff is expensive and costly, and a lot of departments just can't find the money to put these systems in if they have an older firehouse. So that takes us to motor vehicle crashes. Another big issue with fire department injuries and deaths. All right, so wear your seatbelt, and this means wear your seatbelt in the apparatus, and wear your seatbelt if you're responding to the firehouse as a volunteer firefighter. As a engine or ladder company chauffeur, uh, try to drive slower rather than faster. All right, and responding to the firehouse as a volunteer or responding to the scene as a volunteer. We've had many firefighters lose their lives in motor vehicle accidents, so you need to be very cautious, very careful when responding to the firehouse in your own vehicle. Fire suppression operations. You can see the guys on the left. They got caught up in a bad situation, and they're doing a ladder bail out the window. So, as the fire officer, we talk about maintaining crew integrity. Go in with your crew and know where they are at all times. You're going to need to account for these people. If something goes bad and they call for a par, you need to know where your people are. So how do we know where our people are? Again, either we stay in crew contact, we have radio contact, we have riding assignments, so the officer knows that, the firefighter, that's the outside vent person, knows where he should be at all times, and if something happens, where they should start to look for that person. So, good officer knows where his people are at all times. Air management, practice good air management. Right? Watch your heads-up display on your facepiece and know when to go. The days of staying in a fire till our low air alarm goes off and then waiting longer until we're almost out of air than trying to get out, that's not the way we train anymore. We want to go in, start to work, realize that, okay, we're at a point with our air supply that now we need to start to make our way out. And incident commander needs to understand this and have other people ready to go to take your position. So, and it's very important, if you wait for your low air alarm to go off and it took you 2 or 3 minutes to get into where you are, you may not be able to get out in time before you run out of air, and then you become a liability on the fire ground. Keeping with fire suppression operations, situational awareness. So, as a fire officer, you need to have your crew work as a team, stay together. Now, when we say stay together, again, if you have a engine company or you have a ladder company and there's different jobs that need to be done, searching different areas, they can work together as a team. Hopefully they're working in pairs. They're staying together via radio, so you as the fire officer, if you sent 2 of your firefighters to the second floor to do a search, and you and another firefighter on the first floor doing a search, you're basically linked via your portable radio. So you as the officer are staying in contact with all your members, even though they may be in a different part of the building. So stay oriented. Know where you are. If you crawl in, if you pass a window, make sure you know. All right, I passed 1 window, I passed 2 windows, I passed 3 windows. So if you have to come out, you turn around. All right, I know there's a window. I passed 3 windows on the way in. I turn around. There should be a window a few feet ahead of me. I could use that to get out if I have to. Again, manage your air supply. Don't wait for that low air alarm to go off before you start to make your way out. Next one, very important. Provide a radio for every member. No one should be going into a building to do an offensive fire attack if they do not have their own portable radio, period. If you're a department and your fire officers do not provide a portable radio for every member that's going in to do firefighting, I would consider that a criminal offense. All right, if something happens, the people that were negligent should be held accountable. All right, and provide regular updates to the incident commander. You're the eyes and the ears of the incident commander on the inside of the building. So he needs to know what's going on so he can get a better picture of the incident. And you need to constantly assess the conditions. All right, conditions can change dramatically fast. So what you need to do as the fire officer, and even as a firefighter, keep abreast of the conditions. What's going on around you? If it starts all of a sudden to get hot, you have to make the decisions. If you're doing a search, do we need to go? If you're on an engine company and you have a hose line, we need to start opening up the hose line into the smoke above our head. Let's cool the atmosphere down. The days of we don't put water into smoke or gone. Smoke is fuel. If that atmosphere is heating up and you can start to feel that heat coming down through your turnout gear and you can't see fire and there's heavy smoke over your head, you need to open up that hand line, put water into that smoke, cool the atmosphere to reset the fire and prevent flashover. Okay, so that was a short chapter on risk management. So once again, thanks for watching. Be smart, stay disciplined, keep training, and remember, nothing we do is safe.